everybody. For standard 10 we are going to continue with the chapter on nervous system, and in the last class we are discussing about the uh, autonomic nervous system, the different types of sympathetic and the parasympathetic nerve. I hope you have all gone through the particular topic. Today we are going to discuss about the synapse. And I told you about synapse briefly, that synapse are of two types. One is called a chemical synapse, another is called an electrical synapse. Electrical synapse are where the two neurons are directly connected. But in chemical synapse they are not connected. There is a gap in between the axon of one neuron to the dendron or dendrite of another neuron. Now, there's a slight difference that in case of an electrical synapse, the movement can be bipolar, either direction, but in chemical synapse it is always unidirectional. Now, just see this diagram here. This is the diagram of the synapse, and this is showing the axon ending, or what we call the terminal arborization of the axon, the end of the axon, and this is the starting of the dendron. And you can see there are a lot of mitochondria present, because here ATP is required in large quantity for the impulse to be transmitted. There are small vesicles here. These vesicles contains different types of neurotransmitters like acetylcholine or epinephrine or norepinephrine or adrenaline. Now this is the presynaptic membrane. And this is the postsynaptic membrane of the dendron. Usually the nerve impulse is this is a chemical synapse what I am showing. So as soon as the action potential reaches here, these vesicles they go to the presynaptic membrane, and then the membrane permeability is increased by calcium ions. So the neurotransmitter released in this synaptic cleft. This gap is called the synaptic cleft. As a neurotransmitter moves, then it goes to the postsynaptic membrane. It creates an action potential in the dendron ending. So the impulse is transmitted across this. So this is an example of chemical synapse. Now, I told you about the two types of synapse already. Now the next topic that we are going to study is about the transmission of nerve impulse, which has been recently included. So you must know briefly about how the impulse is set up and how the impulse moves across the membrane of the axon. Now usually, as I told you, the movement is from axon to the cyton. So the impulse is generated either in the receptor ending of the dendrons, in the sensory nerve, or it can be in the axon hillock. Now here just you see this one, I am showing here, this is a portion of the axon. You can, this cylindrical structure, this is the axon, and maybe suppose this is the axon hillock or end of the towards the end of the cyton. So usually in across this, this is the Neuri axis. I am showing is a non-myelinated axon, and you can see there is positive ion shown on the outside. Now this positive ion is shown outside because of more sodium ions outside than inside, and inside it is potassium ions, so it is negative. So usually now sodium and potassium both are types of cations, but we say negative and positive because of the presence of an electropositive ion on the outer side and an less electropositive ion inside. So the positivity is there across the axon. Now this is what we call the resting membrane potential. The resting membrane potential is approximately minus 80 millivolt. That means if you put two electrodes of the galvanometer, one inside and one outside, then you can see the difference of the potential is about minus 80, because we always see this in the negativity. Now suppose here a stimulus is put on one end, then what happens, there are some gates here. Now these gates are some, these are electrically operated gates. Now the sodium ions become permeable and the sodium gates open, but the potassium gates are not open. So as soon as the sodium gets open, the sodium ions move inside very rapidly. So you can see a positivity is generated inside and the negativity outside. So we say this portion is a depolarized region. Depolarized is actually this can be raised. A depolarization will take place when it is raised to the action potential. Now when it is raised to the action potential, we say this state is depolarized. And now for this depolarization, they the impulse is transmitted to the next place. So as soon as it goes to the impulse, the wave of transmission is going to the next place. The sodium gets opened here, and this positive sodium ions move inside. So you can see the next diagram, inside it becomes plus and outside it becomes minus. But what happens to the previous side? Now as the sodium action potential is raised, slowly and slowly the sodium gets closed and then the potassium gets open, and after that usually the sodium ions are again transmitted back by a sodium potassium exchange pump. Here it requires energy. For 3 sodium is brought outside, for 2 potassium taken inside. So a positivity is maintained at this place, and this is the place which we call, this is a repolarized place, because already the wave of depolarization has gone to the next place. So like this depolarization wave will go to the next place, then from here it will go to the next place. So there's a local circuit develop and the wave of depolarization moves from this side to this side. So this is how the impulse is transmitted across the axon. So you have to know here briefly that how the sodium gets open, how inside becomes positive and outside becomes negative, and the depolarization takes place, then repolarization takes place, and successively, and what is this action potential, and what is the what you call the resting membrane potential. All these things very briefly you have to know in 10th standard. It is not required to be known in very what do you call that, the standard is not that high, so don't worry about that. Okay. Now what is a threshold stimulus? Threshold stimulus is the minimum stimulus that is required to excite a nerve ending, because if the threshold stimulus is not reached, then you cannot develop an action potential across, that you cannot open the sodium gates only. So that is the minimum what you call the potential required to raise it. Now that is all about the transmission of nerve impulse. Now we are going to next study about the types of reflexes. Now you will know that reflex is something which is taking place, in order to protect the body, and these reflexes are generally, it is a protective device, and the reflexes are usually answered by the spinal cord, where the brain may be involved or may not be involved. So reflex is like it is lessening the work of the brain. So we are going to know about a reflex here. Just see this diagram. So a stimulus is usually raised in the body, in the internal organ or in the external organ. Stimulus, that it has to be raised to the action potential is generated. Then from that stimulus is transmitted by the receptor endings and across the sensory nerve to the CNS. Here usually in the reflexes, the CNS is the spinal cord. His brain is not involved, because reflex, as I told you, since it's a protective device, the spinal cord itself gives the reply and may consult the brain, because it's a protective device, that something in your body is protected, so that if it involves the brain, it may take longer time. So you can see here the CNS, the spinal cord, then transmits the impulse through the effector or the motor neuron to the effector, and then the response is generated either in the glands or in the organs or the muscles. Like you can see one type of reflex is shown, that this is a demonstration of a reflex action. If you take a decapacitated frog, suppose the frog spinal cord is there but the head is not there, even you put some acid in the muscle of the frog, the decapacitated of the frog, or if you remove the spinal cord, you can see here immediately the muscle twitch is there and the frog retracts the leg. Or if you give an electrical impulse also, then the frog. So that's a reflex action which is seen in frog. You can see in the human being also. Now here you just see the reflex in the human being. Here it is showing the reflex pathway. So there are two pathways. One is called the afferent pathway. The afferent pathway may be in the skin or the gland, wherever it can be present. So you have the receptor here. Since if suppose this is a knee jerk, it's that if you tap the knee here, the impulse transmit like this to the dorsal side, and this is a sensory neuron. Here you have the dorsal root ganglion, then it enters through the spinal cord. This is the spinal cord showing, this is the dorsal side of the spinal cord, this is the ventral side, that means this is the side of the shoulder and this is the side of the chest. So the impulse is transmitted across the sensory neuron. Here there can be an association neuron or it may not be there. Then through the synapse it is passed through the ventral root to the motor nerve, and the motor nerve gives back the impulse through the motor efferent pathway here in the muscles. So usually in knee jerk what happens, if you tap the knee at this particular point, you will see the leg jerking forward. So if you cross your leg and suppose sit on a table and cross your leg with the one leg on the other and tap the knee here little bit hard with a hand or somebody else taps it, then you can see the knee jerk. So that is a reflex action we see in case of the human being. So these reflexes usually are of two types. One is called an unconditioned reflex, which are inborn. These reflexes are there since our birth, and they are always type of reflexes which protect us from the various types of dangers, like say for example, as I told you, the unconditioned reflexes like a baby crying for food due to hunger, or you see something, food gets stuck up in the throat and you cough it out, so the food is thrown out so that it doesn't go to the trachea. And there are certain types of reflexes which are conditioned reflexes. Conditioned reflexes are those which you are conditioning it, and that is also required, like say for example playing the guitar without seeing, or you move on the staircase in the night, suppose there is a load shedding and the current is not there, and you continuously move, or tying the shoelace without string, or you see your mother knitting sweaters without talking to others. So there are those type of reflexes are conditioned reflex, and conditioned reflexes are also used for learning various things. So that we'll take up in the next class. Thank you very much.